Hello everyone, hope you're all well. It's 12:30 in the PM here in Northern England, and it's strangely hot outside. Very odd. So we're not used to hot weather. It'll just be mildly warm for some people, but we're not used to it. Anyhow, we're talking about Sebastian Rogers today. I'm going to keep this fairly brief because, quite frankly, I'm just disgusted. Absolutely disgusted by this case now. I have very few nice things to say about this case at all. I'm going to be back later though, this evening my time. I'm going to talk about Suitcase Sarah Boone. So I've had a live stream planned for Sarah Boone for a few days, so I'm going to do it this evening my time. So I will be back later. We're going to go through the whole case because the trial is going to happen in October. October is going to be a very busy month because we've got the Sarah Boone trial, which I cannot wait for, and the Delphi trial. So October is going to be very, very, very busy for trial watching and trial commenting. So that's all to come. But today, right now, we're talking about missing 15-year-old Sebastian Rogers, who has been missing since February 26th of this year from Hendersonville in Tennessee. Okay, you know all the basics if you've been following this case. So, in terms of where we are with the case, we haven't had any information whatsoever from law enforcement from the longest time. Nick Berris from News Channel 5 Nashville does keep in contact with the cops and does semi-regular updates on his Facebook. But from law enforcement themselves, we've had very, very little. The TBI did update their newsroom in when was that? On the 6-month mark, anyway. So at the end of July, or August, whatever, they updated their newsroom. But apart from that, we've got no new information. The case, however, is an absolute circus, and celebrity bounty hunter Dog the Bounty Hunter has now joined the case, and I think it's a big con. Personally, what you're going to get in this live stream is just my opinion, but I think this is a con. I think the reason why Dog the Bounty Hunter is taking the stance he is purely for publicity. That's my opinion. But the Dream Team appeared on News Nation last night with Ashley Banfield. Who's the Dream Team? Well, the Dream Team is Seth Rogers, Sebastian's biological father, the quote-unquote PR person for Seth, Tony Mathis, Dick Top Tony, and Dog the Bounty Hunter. So they were all there. They were all there. Like the Three Musketeers talking to Ashley Banfield. It's only a short news piece. We're going to go through it. I'm going to comment throughout. I'm going to pull up a bunch of stuff that I think is relevant. Yeah, and Dog the Bounty Hunter can't even get Seth's name right. Can't even get Seth's name right. I'm not put my banner up. There we go. How can you be like involved in a case and not know the name of the missing child's father? Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Well, you're going to get my opinion, Noodle. You really are. Yeah, that's about the size of it. But I think it's purely a publicity stunt. That's what I think. So It's an absolute dumpster fire. Total dumpster fire. Total. Especially after what came out, 2 days ago now. So we're going to talk about that as well. The stuff that came out on Dog's Facebook group. He does need to retire. Desperate measures. How old is Dog the Bounty Hunter now? 70 something. So desperate times. Maybe this is his last hurrah. Who knows? Calls him Sean. Yeah, he did. Called him Sean. Any news on the At Night website? No more than what came out a couple of days ago, as far as I know. 71. That sounds about right. 100. 71 sounds about right. I knew he was around that age. He loved Dog the Bounty Hunter. Look, he's a TV celebrity. And you can't take him seriously as an investigator. He's not an investigator. He's a TV celebrity. So any case that he gets involved with, it's a shit show. I mean, look, Dog the Bounty Hunter was dead wrong about Brian Laundrie. Dead wrong. You know, said Brian Laundrie was alive, that Brian Laundrie was hiding out. Brian Laundrie was in a completely different location. You know, he had his team, he had his cameras out there, all for publicity. And then he crawls out of the woodwork. I don't know who contacted him, how he's got involved in this case. I would like to know. Was it TikTok Tony that contacted him? Did Dog see the case and contact them? I would like to know that. Law enforcement have commented about truth serum, saying it's a mistake, etc. Not sure what you mean by that. What, they've commented about this particular case? What law enforcement has? Where's that at? I know. I know. Yeah, it's all a big publicity stunt. It's a con. And if anybody's taking this seriously, I think you need to give your head a wobble, quite frankly. This is nothing but a publicity stunt. Thank you, Pamela, for the $1.99. It's very kind of you. Very, very kind. Oh, Betty's a dog fan. Okay. All right. That makes sense. The lawyer tried to retract it. What about the truth serum? We'll get there. We'll get there. Don't worry. We'll talk about it. It was Nick the Hat. What? Nick the Hat that contacted Dog? Yeah, keeping the case in the news is one thing, but interfering with an investigation and blaming somebody who law enforcement believes isn't a suspect is quite another, in my opinion. Betty says it's because of her. I don't watch her, so I'll believe you on that. Anyhow, all right. So we're going to go through this. I'm going to start it like a minute in because Ashley just gives a basic background. So I'm going to start it right on the beginning of the Dream Team's interview. Okay.
The Tennessee police and the FBI have been on the case from the start. But so far,
hold on. Let me just put it back to normal speed or else people will complain. Okay. All right.
Nothing. The feds even put up a $50,000 reward for information leading to Sebastian Rogers' return. And now that reward has doubled to $100,000, thanks to America's most famous bounty hunter. Want to welcome back to the program Sebastian Rogers' father, Seth Rogers, and also with us is Tony Mathis. He speaks for the Rogers family during this emergency, and the man who now is on the Sebastian Rogers case, Dog the Bounty Hunter. Welcome to all three of you. Seth, I'll come to you first. We spoke, I think, 10 weeks ago or so, and I just wanted to touch base with you. Have you had any updates, any news, anything at all that that feels promising?
We've had some, and we've had some tips. And I've passed them over to Sumner County and my private investigator that's working on it. But as for news from Sumner County, no, I don't even know if they follow up with any of the tips we give them anymore.
Can you share those tips publicly, or do you have to keep them under the vest, understandably?
I'm keeping them under the vest because if they are Sebastian, I don't want somebody that doesn't have his best interests following up on our lead. Some people are doing leads and they don't even want to be involved in this case. And I can understand why. I mean, we've got people that are out here in the social media world that, you know, throw daggers at everybody that's helping me find Sebastian. And we've even had him go to jail now.
So even had him go to jail now. Presumably he's talking there about Bullhorn Betty. Well, she's out of jail, so Sebastian's got one of his Seth's got one of his crew back. But not going to comment on that. There's too much drama involved in that. But it's interesting that Seth has a new private investigator. Don't know who that person is. They're keeping all of their information close to the vest, which is fine. You know, I'd get on with, you know, the PI should get on with the job that they're doing. I don't have a problem with not knowing who that PI is. Now, Seth's old PI has commented about the state of the case. So some of you will have seen this, but I'm going to share this. This is from Chloe. I'll just get it up here on my screen. Find it. Here we go. This is Chloe. So back in the day, Seth had two PIs. He had a PI firm, someone called Heather, and also Chloe. And Chloe got fired. Allegedly for wanting to vet people who were searching. So they had, you know, a search team that Chloe brought in of volunteers, and all the volunteers that Seth was bringing in, Chloe wanted to vet them, quite understandably. You know, if they're getting involved, potentially coming upon important evidence, she wanted to know who they were. But Seth didn't agree with that and he fired her. Thank you, Kimberly, for gifting 5 memberships. Thank you so much. It's very kind of you. Now, look, I still can't see who got those memberships because I'm just working off StreamYard. I still don't have my second screen back. So I feel like my right arm's been cut off. But if you got one of those memberships, then please do thank Kimberly in the chat on my behalf and welcome. Yeah, a month's free membership. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, so this is what Chloe wrote yesterday on her social media. So this is on Twitter. SF Investigates reposted it, but she's put it on her own Facebook as well. All right, so Chloe says, good evening. It's been a while since I made a statement on the Sebastian Rogers case. This one will be personal. In May, the father of Sebastian asked me to step down due to me not agreeing to work with Nina Glass. Now, this is not what was said originally. Seth said he fired Chloe. If you go back and look at Seth's old interviews from back then, and he said it was because Chloe wanted to vet the searchers. I've not just made that up. I've not just made that up. Now, I haven't gone back and found those interviews. I really do need to. I feel it's time to go back right at the beginning and then work forward again. Like just cover everything again. Not necessarily like in public, but I feel I need to do that because I'm losing track of who said what when. 6 months down the line, there's been so much said, so little actual investigation, but so much said that I think it's going to be important to just go back. But Chloe says that it's because it was when TikTok Tony joined. It was when TikTok Tony joined the team and he wanted to bring his own people in. And isn't Nina Glass the woman from Texas, the one who shot through a wall and nearly killed someone, like nearly hit someone who was in like an apartment or something? She shot through a wall. I believe it's her, but Chloe didn't want to work with her. So that's why Chloe was fired, according to Chloe. All right. This woman claimed to be part of a search and rescue team, but was on the active probation and had felony charges. Yeah, she does. During this conversation, his father told me he knew I would continue searching for his son, and he hoped I would, and hoped I found him. And she did. She absolutely did. Her and her team continued to search the woodlands and the mountains for Sebastian. I will be transparent that my time working with Mr. Rogers was often heated. I personally, as a woman, was not taken seriously despite my credentials. And I could believe that. I honestly could believe that. I could believe that. And especially after TikTok Tony joined. I can imagine that Seth and Tony together are not a good combination if you're female and you're credentialed and you're trying to do a serious job. Again, all my opinion. Deeper into May, different creators on social media hosted several people in Mr. Rogers' camp, including Mr. Rogers, who was very angry about the backlash they received when I was asked to step back. My team continued to search for Sebastian. We scaled back in the summer months due to the elements and the overgrowth on the land, which I've been talking about in terms of, searching for somebody in the height of summer when the foliage is very, very thick. Almost impossible. Like, makes your job 10 times harder. 10 times harder. So I think in the fall, I could envision that law enforcement are going to come back and do another search of the immediate vicinity. That's what I imagine might happen in the fall, when it will be easier to see the ground and you're not getting spiked on brambles and whatever. Over the last 3 months, despite my effort to stay neutral and work other missing cases, my name has remained in the mouths of creators I've never had that personal interaction with. So people who she doesn't know are still talking about her. I don't know who, because I haven't, kept up with all the drama and the backbiting. So I don't know who she's referring to here. I've received a cease and desist. Yeah, she did. I think that was the last time we heard from her when she said she'd received a cease and desist. Several people. Do not mention the name Sebastian. Do not mention the case, blah, 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 blah. The claims that have ensued are outlandish. I won't address most of them. I've never had an open investigation on my license. Tennessee makes you immediately aware, but I do not withhold pertinent information from families or law enforcement. Until I joined this case, my reputation in missing persons was good. And it's my hope to those that matter. It remains that. The rumours are laughable at this point. I do believe it's truly for these creators to have content. So again, I don't know what people are saying about her. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But crazy days. All right. So Seth has got a new PI. I don't know who they are. But yeah, received some tips. Doesn't want to talk about them, which is fine. As long as he shared them with law enforcement, that's fine. Okay.
Dog, jump in here. You know this blueprint, right? You know when a parent is trying everything. They're hiring their own people outside of the police. They're collecting tips. They're passing them on. They're processing. Where do you take this case now that you're on board? How do you do things differently? And since it's been 6 months plus, how do you even begin?
Well, we began at the very beginning. And because I'm not a real law enforcement officer, I can do a lot of things that law enforcement cannot do. And I don't break the law, but I will bend it till its fracturing point.
So he doesn't break the law, he just bends the rules. He bends the rules to their fracturing point. All right, let's discuss that. Let's discuss that because 2 days ago now, this came out. If you can hear Cassie snoring in the background, she's snoring really loud. All right, this came out from Dog the Bounty Hunter's Facebook group. Somebody screenshotted this. Hold on, just let me find it. Here we go. All right, so this allegedly is Tony Mathis. Talked about this in my last live stream yesterday. This allegedly is Tony Mathis speaking regarding Dog's Facebook group. So I speculated in my live stream yesterday, early hours of yesterday morning for me. I speculated that maybe this isn't the real Tony Mathis, that maybe somebody is impersonating Tony Mathis, and it would, you know, it will quickly be just considered a hoax. But I haven't seen or heard that Tony Mathis has come out and said that, no, this is not really him. This is a hoax. He doesn't appear to have done that. Now, the comments that I had to my live stream, some people believe that this is some kind of trap to basically smear Seth's name. This is just one such comment that was left to, you know, this person must have been a replay crew person to my last live stream. This has to be sabotage. Looks like someone who is intimidated by Dog's team hacked Tony Mathis's Twitter to make Dog and any other help turn and run. So like a smear campaign. Same thing that has happened over and over again in this case. Yes, Tony Mathis is sickening and he's a fraud, but I totally don't think this post is real. If it is, then they are complete idiots. Laughing my ass off. I pray for truth and clarity in this case. Sebastian, bless your heart, child. I pray you're found safe. And then Michael comes along and says, who the hell would be intimidated by this bunch? Well, look, is it sabotage? I expected that by now Tony Mathis would have come out if indeed this comment was a hoax. This comment, and it wasn't the real Tony Mathis. I would have imagined that by now he'd have come out and corrected the record and said, look, this is not me. This is a hoax. This is a fraud. But I haven't seen him do that. All right. So let's read this again, assuming that this is actually Tony Mathis. And we have to assume it is Tony Mathis until we hear any different, you know, until the actual Tony Mathis comes out and says, no, this is not me. But anyway, this is a press release. At night has been retained. So at night is some kind of intelligence agency, apparently, according to their website. At night has been retained by a private individual or entity to provide services to Seth Rogers. So at night's been retained. So this intelligence agency has been retained by an individual on behalf of Seth. So who's that private individual? Would that be Tony as the spokesperson, as the, you know, the guru of this case, as the handler of Seth Rogers? Is it Tony that is retained at night? Or is it Doug? Who is it? All right. To assist in the search for Sebastian and facilitate the arrest and prosecution of the individuals responsible for his disappearance. This collaboration is contingent on Seth Rogers' full and continued cooperation, which he has already demonstrated. At night will act independently from law enforcement, applying its own rigorous protocols and treating all persons of interest with equal scrutiny. Information will be shared with federal law enforcement in real time, ensuring a cohesive and transparent flow of actionable intelligence throughout the investigation. Well, as I said in my live stream, when I read this out for the very first time, I was absolutely gobsmacked that this was even, you know, written by anybody, because this is insane. And again, we have to assume this is written by the real Tony Mathis until we hear otherwise. So what are these rigorous protocols? Well, this is some kind of private intelligence agency that uses extreme methods to extract confessions, allegedly. All right. So this is who Dog the Bounty Hunter has thrown his hat in with. So we've got Seth, who I have to assume is just a willful idiot at this point. I have to assume that if Seth is, you know, desperate for any kind of information, that he's believing these people and he's just willfully ignorant. I have to assume that, because I don't want to believe that the father of a missing child is purposefully turning his child's case into an absolute shit show. I have to assume that Seth believes he's doing the right thing. Okay. So we've got Seth. We've then got Tony Mathis supposedly working on behalf of Seth, but he's actually Seth's handler. We've now got this at night group who's been retained by somebody, Tony, Nick the Hat, maybe, even Dog the Bounty Hunter, maybe, because we've also now got celebrity bounty hunter Dog in the mix. All right. And we've got then, you know, various hangers-on, various other people, various other creators who are, you know, egging them all on. All right. Yes, Seth has made it all about himself. He absolutely has made it all about himself. Yes. Yes. Anyway. Okay. So I'm quite sure that the federal agency would, you know, the FBI would be very interested in at night's methods and the type of drugs that they employ in order to extract confessions. At night's commitment to the case involves deploying an array of advanced investigative techniques and methodologies. This includes conducting various tests such as hypothesization, so hypnosis, I assume that's what that means, and the strategic use of psychoactive compounds, ethanol, which is alcohol, scopolamine, which is it's an anti-sickness drug, but it's deemed the truth serum, I can't pronounce that, but it's a benzo. Okay. We've got midazolam and flunitrazepam, which are sedatives, like tranquilizers. All right. And we've got sodium thiopental and amobarbitol, which are barbiturates. So even stronger than benzos. These things shut your brain down. One such barbiturate is pentobarbital, which is used when you have your dog or your cat put to sleep and they just quietly drift off. You know, it basically just shuts the brainstem down within seconds and the heart stops. It's the same drug that's used in the lethal injection, because if it will shut a dog's brain down and a cat's brain down, then you can be absolutely for sure that it will shut a human brain down, because we all have the same brain stem. We all have the same little, neural circuits in our brain stem. Controls the basics of life, like breathing, and it keeps your heart beating. So shut the brain stem down completely and it's certain death. So barbiturates are very, very dangerous, but in lesser doses than is lethal, they're used as general anesthesia. So these are very, very powerful drugs, particularly barbiturates. Very, very powerful. Easily, you give 1 milligram too much and you have a fatal situation on your hand. So why you would be using barbiturates and benzos in some kind of cocktail, I have no words for. This is incredibly dangerous, incredibly dangerous. But this at-night group that has been retained on behalf of Seth Rogers has thrown their hat in the ring, posting this on Dog the Bounty Hunter's Facebook group, saying this is how they are going to extract confessions from people. Let's read a little further. These substances employed in control settings are part of at-night's approach to extract critical information from subjects who may be otherwise unwilling or unable to cooperate. At night, in concert with Dog and Nick, so Nick the Hat, like journalist person, is augmenting the existing 50,000 FBI reward with an additional 50,000, bringing the total bounty for critical information to 100K. This enhanced reward is designed to encourage the public to come forward with any information that could lead directly to Sebastian's recovery and the conviction of individuals involved in his disappearance. So in order to, they want people to come forward with information. They're dangling this carrot in front of people who are going to come forward with information. We don't know whether that information is going to be truthful or not, but at night is going to, I don't know how they're going to do it. Are they going to capture these people? Now they've got Dog the Bounty Hunter on the case. Is he going to capture them? Is he going to go right up to the point where the law becomes fractured? Is he going to go right up to the line? He's going to take people in and at night they're going to extract confessions from them using this cocktail of very, very powerful medications. Who's administered? How have they got their hands? I mean, obviously alcohol, yeah, but how have they got their hands on all of these very, very dangerous and highly controlled drugs? Again, especially the barbiturates and the benzos. Barbiturates particularly. I mean, incredibly, incredibly dangerous. So how have these people got their hands on it? It has to be administered by a medical professional. So what physician is prepared to administer these kind of drugs in order to extract a confession from somebody who this team, with absolutely no law enforcement people there, doing this just off their own back, like developing their own suspect list just off their own back because law enforcement says there's no suspects in this case. How are they going to do this? It's really scary. Yes, it is. Really scary. All right. But Dog the Bounty Hunter's fine. Let's listen to what he said again. Dog the Bounty Hunter's fine with taking it all the way up to the point where law fractures.
A real law enforcement officer, I can do a lot of things that law enforcement cannot do. And I don't break the law, but I will bend it till its fracturing point.
There you go. You'll bend the law to its fracturing point. Well, hopefully Dog doesn't agree that this kind of approach, you know, truth serums, is very, very illegal. Very illegal. Now, private investigator SF Investigates is appalled, absolutely appalled by this. And this is what he wrote on September 5th, so yesterday. To be completely clear, it doesn't matter whether it's with or against a person's will. It is illegal. So even if somebody agreed, let's say, because I think one of the reasons why that they might be pushing this is to say that they've cleared Seth, is to administer, or at least say that they've administered these drugs to Seth and he's passed whatever test. You know, they've given him truth drugs and he's passed. I think that's where we're headed. I think that's one of their little tricks that they're going to play, because it's interesting that this comes right on the back of, you know, Seth and his supporters bleating that the cops haven't cleared him. The cops haven't cleared anyone. No one's cleared. It's a missing persons case. We don't know what happened to Sebastian, so how can they clear anyone? And there's no suspects. So if you don't clear somebody if they've never been a suspect. It's insane. So law enforcement saying, well, we've no suspects. We're keeping all our options open, but we've no reason to believe at this time that a crime's been committed, and we've no suspects in the case. Well, how can they clear anybody if they've no suspects? You know, to clear somebody, you have to be a suspect, don't you? Do you see what I'm saying? That if you know, law enforcement are really looking at you and they interrogate you and you are a suspect, but then they find that you've got an alibi and they find that you can't possibly have committed any crime, then they clear you. But you have to be a suspect first to be cleared. So Seth saying that I've not been cleared, well, yeah, no one's been cleared. No one's been cleared because we don't know what happened to Sebastian. So how can they clear anybody when they don't know what happened? That's it. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. You can see it coming a mile off, can't you? You can see it coming a mile off. This is what they're going to release. This is what they're going to release. I bet you any money. This is where we're going. Seth took our test, you know, all these barbiturates and stuff, and passed. Chris and Katie won't take our test. Therefore, they must be guilty. Yeah, exactly. That's where it's headed. And any sane individual would not subject themselves to a cocktail of really dangerous drugs. You get it 1 milligram wrong in the barbiturate department and you are dead. You administer barbiturates with benzos and other. What are they doing here? And what physician would agree to this? No, none. Therefore, they have to be doing this illegally. Even if you agree to it, even if you agree to somebody administering these drugs to you so that they can interrogate you, it's still illegal. All right. It's illegal to prescribe any narcotic medication without a legitimate medical purpose. Extracting a coerced confession is not a medical purpose and is a violation of federal law. Controlled Substances Act. The law governs the prescribing of controlled substances, including narcotics, and establishes that these substances can only be prescribed in the course of legitimate medical treatment. This regulation states a prescription for a controlled substance to be effective must be issued for a legitimate medical purpose by an individual practitioner acting in the usual course of his or her professional practice. Thank you, SF Investigates. Thank you. All right. Now we've made that clear, we can carry on with News Nation.
So it's very sad because in the very beginning, I thought Sean may be involved in some kind of disappearance, or I thought the little boy was
Sean. So this old man here, this old man, right? Look, I'm old, all right. I can make anti-age jokes because I'm old, right? But this old man doesn't even know his client. I don't even know whether Seth would be his boss. I mean, how is this working? How is the structure of this dream team actually working? You know, is Seth the willful idiot, or is Seth in control of all of this? You know. But how can Dog the Bounty Hunter go on national TV with Seth and not even know his name? And it's not just a slip of the tongue either, because he says it again. He says it twice. So it's not just a slip of the tongue. He truly believes that Seth's name is Sean. Sean the sheep. Oh dear, you've got to laugh, haven't you? It's just insane. It's insanity. It's insanity. Yeah, it's insanity. It's nuts. I've no words. I've no words. But he says it again in a minute.
Was deceased. Days now into it, I have talked to Sean. I know that he was working.
Days into it, I've talked to Sean. You don't know his name though, but you have talked to him.
This is his only child. I have 12. I've been through this before one of my daughters were killed, but
I didn't know he had a daughter who was killed. I know how that feels. 12 kids though. Oh, you've been busy, been a busy boy. Well, he needs the money. He needs the money. I mean, presumably that all his kids are grown up, I assume now. But he might have grandkids. So, Christmas is coming up. Come on. It's going to be very expensive. You got 12 kids, all grown up, all have their own kids. That's expensive. So Christmas is coming up. Maybe Dog needs the money. All right. My great-grandma had 13 kids. Back in the day. He's had 6 wives, really. So he's got a little harem. Wow. He's beating Chris. Chris Profoot. Chris Profoot's had 5 wives. Well, he didn't raise most of them. Well, I can believe that. Okay.
This is amazing. I know that he had nothing to do with this. This guy can barely even talk without crying. I'm looking at him tonight and we're both, crybabies. I'm looking at him right there on your show and I'm like, I just want to start crying.
All right, you want to cry? You want to cry along with Sean? Can't get his name right though. I mean, look. I know some people, even SF Investigates, and I'll show you his post in a minute, think that Seth must have something to do with Sebastian's disappearance. Like the way this is going, that it's just so weird that a parent of a missing child, would agree to all of this nonsense in their child's name, in their child's case. And you think, well, I can kind of understand why people believe that Seth must be involved. Like he's trying so hard to pin this on Katie. You have to assume, I can understand why people are starting to assume that it must be Seth who's, you know, distracting and saying, look over there, not over here, and creating a massive scene. I get it. I do get it. Now, personally, I don't believe Seth had anything to do with Sebastian's disappearance. I do believe he's genuinely grieving. I do believe that he's desperate. That's what I want to believe, because I don't want to think that Seth would willfully agree to all of this because he's a sus, because he did something. I don't want to go there, because I don't personally believe we've got the evidence for that. But I can understand why people are thinking Seth must have something to do with this, because you create the scene, you say, look over there, not over here. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, dog's a big crybaby.
Listen, I'm going to hunt these people down. I think the boy is still alive.
And you know why he has to say that? Now, look, he might truly believe that Sebastian is still alive. Sebastian may well still be alive. Thank you, Purple AJ. Thank you so much. You are an absolute angel. You're an angel sent from heaven. I can't say who got them because StreamYard doesn't tell me. But if you're one of the lucky 10, please do thank Purple AJ in the chat. Or if you're replay crew, if you didn't see this and you replay crew, please thank Purple AJ in the comments. Yeah, so welcome. You get a month's stream membership, courtesy of the truly wonderful Purple AJ. All right. He's going to hunt these people down. He's going to hunt them down because he believes Sebastian is still alive. Look, there's various scenarios where Sebastian could well be alive. If he ran away, if his family life was too much, just too much, he was in the middle of these, you know, arguing people, and he just did one, he could well be still alive. He might be living in a homeless camp. He might be being looked after by someone, or he could be alive, but in a truly horrible situation. There are various scenarios that are, in my opinion, not that likely. However, it does happen. Look at Elizabeth Smart. Look at, there's a bunch. There's a bunch. What's her name? Who came forward? She was missing for 4 years, and then she just came forward and turned herself into the police. She's been living with this guy. Navarro, if her surname is. Is it Alicia? Alicia Navarro, that rings a bell. But she'd run off when she was 14 or 15. She'd run off with this guy, like a much older guy, and been living with him the whole time. It was perfectly fine. And then she wanted to get a job. Now, she didn't have a social security number. She needed to start her life. She wanted to have a life. Navarro, yeah, thank you. She wanted to have a life, and the only way she could do that was to declare herself not missing and not dead. And she went to the cop shop and turned herself in. Not that she committed a crime, but, you know, she went to the cops and said, here I am. Was that in Australia? No, I don't think so. I can't remember now, but it's a really interesting case. It's a really interesting case. But there's been a bunch of them. And, you know, some of them are fine. Some of them turn up 2, 3, 4 years later, and they've been living with someone who's been looking after them. Not lawfully, if they've, you know, that they've been harboring a minor, but they've been looked after and they're fine. They've not been abused, other than potentially having a sexual relationship with a minor. But they've not been, you know, trafficked. They've not been forced into prostitution or anything like that. So it's possible, absolutely possible, that Sebastian is still alive. I think it's more probable just by, you know, sheer numbers, that he isn't. Because unfortunately, you know, when you're 6 months down the line, 6 months and longer, it becomes less and less likely that that person is alive. But hey, it could well be. So Dog the Bounty Hunter thinks that Sebastian is still alive. But this is where the con comes in. Dog has to take this approach that Sebastian is still alive, because hunting people down is one thing. It creates, you know, the media hype. But hunting people down and recovering a body is less salacious, is less interesting than hunting people down to find someone who is alive, in my opinion. So Dog the Bounty Hunter proposing that Sebastian's still alive and he's going to hunt down the persons who have been holding him and rescue him is way more media worthy than saying, oh, well, you know, there's I'm going to go and tromp through the woodland and the mountainous regions of Middle Tennessee to recover the remains of someone. That's not as interesting as saying you're going to hunt people down to have this, you know, massive rescue and this, you know, big spectacle. In my opinion, that's why he's taking this line. So you know what's coming next if you've already heard this.
I'm telling you right now, Ashley, I think this little boy was stashed somewhere because custody was just going to get very soon, very, very soon. Mr. Rogers was going to get custody of his son. And I think there's so much jealousy. You know the old saying, if you can't have him, if I can't have him, nobody will have him. I think that's exactly what we're seeing here, is a domestic squabble over a child.
Thanks for
watching. Thanks for watching, says Ashley. So the theory that Dog the Bounty Hunter is going with is one that many people will jump on, going, yes, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Because he's read the room. In my opinion, he's read the room. He's not got Seth's name right, but he's read the room. He knows what will be the most popular con, the most likely con to get a load of people hooked. People already think Katie and Chris did something to Sebastian. But to say, oh, well, it was an accidental death and they just covered it up, that's not salacious enough. All my opinion. The reason why I think Dog has latched onto Katie is because it's what many people already believe. So they will go, yes, Dog's going to rescue Sebastian and Katie is going to be in handcuffs. Go dog, go dog, go dog. Yeah, okay. All right. Well, let's think about this. Dog's dead wrong. Because both Katie and Seth have got equal custody. So it was never going to be a turning over of custody. It wasn't. It was a mutually agreed arrangement for Sebastian to go and live most of the time at Seth's. They were basically going to reverse what they're doing now. What they were doing up to the point of Sebastian going missing was Sebastian lived at Katie's, and then every other weekend he went to his dad's, and then he went to his dad's in the holidays. But it was mutually agreed. And the difference was going to be that Sebastian would be living at Seth's, like doing school at Seth's, which he absolutely did not want to do because he didn't want to do online school. So Sebastian didn't want this. Sebastian did not want to go and live at Seth's. He might love his dad, he might spend time with his dad, but he did not want to go and live at Seth's because he didn't want to do online school. So the custody, the actual, legal custody was not going to change. They were still going to have equal shared custody. But it was just going to switch to Sebastian being at Seth's in the week and then every other weekend go to Katie and Chris's. And then presumably spending time at Katie and Chris's in the holidays. So there was no argument about custody. There was no change, legally speaking, about custody. So there's no incentive for Katie to be jealous and hide Sebastian because she was going to lose custody. That just was not going to happen. There was no difference. It absolutely is an incentive for Sebastian to run away. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that is one of the main drivers of why Sebastian was so unhappy. So Dog the Bounty Hunter is dead wrong in the basic premise of his theory. That this wasn't a custody dispute. This was mutually agreed. The custody, the court did not interfere with how long Sebastian spent at each parent's house. The court had awarded them both custody. Seth knows this. Seth knows this full well. Seth is going along with this. And that makes me nervous about why Seth is going along with this. It is all showmanship. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, wrong one. Showmanship. Yeah, it is. It's reading the room. It's picking on a very popular theory already that, people hate Katie, people hate Chris. All right, let's blame them. Let's blame them. And let's say that they're holding Sebastian somewhere because they don't want Seth to have custody. Seth has always had custody. That was not going to change. All that was going to change was that Sebastian was going to spend more time at his dad's and do school from his dad's place, which absolutely Sebastian did not want. SF Investigates said this. Okay, so this was in response to this post by allegedly Tony Mathis that we read earlier. Okay, might be the most terrifying post I've ever seen on Twitter, and unsurprisingly, it involves the actions of Seth Rogers and Tony Mathis. Posted in Dog the Bounty Hunters group, this disturbing message describes a plan to drug individuals in order to extract critical information from subjects who may otherwise be unwilling or unable to cooperate. Shockingly, they refer to the use of Rohypnol as an advanced investigative technique. They plan to drug suspects in the Sebastian Rogers case. Their plan includes administering dangerous psychoactive compounds that we've already talked about. I want to identify the physician willing to prescribe these substances and who conducts the interrogation so they can be arrested. This reckless, illegal, and unethical behavior poses a direct threat to public safety. Who are the victims of this operation? If anyone has been affected by this company, please reach out to me immediately. So they're talking about the intelligence agency at night. I will connect you with federal law enforcement agents who can take swift action. I've already contacted a TBI agent I work closely with, and the DEA will be next on my list because this is their jurisdiction. Midazolam is an extremely potent sedative, a benzo. Fluorintrazepam is Rohypnol, infamously known as the date rape drug. Sodium thiopental is a general anesthetic, and amobarbitol is a barbiturate. These are highly dangerous substances, and it's mind-boggling to think this idea came from Seth and Tony's think tank. I'm beginning to now. This is where I'm getting to. The SF investigators has always believed that Sebastian was a runaway, but he's now contemplating the possibility that Seth is creating all of this drama, saying, look over there, blame Katie, blame whoever, but don't look at me, because he is the actual culprit. I personally do not believe this. I'm not there yet. But it's very, very interesting that SF investigators, who is a registered PI in Tennessee, has come out and said this. I'm beginning to believe Seth may have killed Sebastian. I have always believed this was a runaway situation, but with this behavior, I think there is a high probability Seth is a murderer and Tony thinks he's some sort of fixer, probably because Tony has the same type of hidden background. Both Seth and Tony appear to be dangerously unhinged. I could agree there. Desperate to cover up their crimes. This revelation completely changes the landscape of the case. Only individuals capable of extreme cruelty and violence could devise such a plan. The press needs to step in. Well, unfortunately, the press has stepped in the guise of Ashley Banfield. And look at what Dog has said. Look at what Dog has said. Look at what Dog has said. Let's play it one more time. Dog is saying he believes this is a where's my, there we go. Which one was I using before? That one? No, that one. Yay. He believes that Katie has kidnapped Sebastian because if she can't have him, no one can. So who is directly at threat here? Who is directly at threat here? Who is directly at threat? Katie. Katie is directly at threat based on this theory that Dog the Bounty Hunter has put forward on national TV.
Right, and we're both, crybabies. I'm looking at him right there on your show, and I'm like, I just want to start crying. Listen, I'm going to hunt these people down. I think the boy is still alive. I'm telling you right now, Ashley, I think this little boy was stashed somewhere because custody was just going to get very soon, very, very soon. Mr. Rogers was going to get custody of his son. And I think there's so much jealousy. You know the old saying, if you can't have him, if I can't have him, nobody will have him. I think that's exactly what we're seeing here, is a domestic squabble over a child.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find
And
News
Ashley
Nation on your...
Banfield sat and listened to that. Now, obviously, these news channels, they don't show full interviews. They chop things up into 5-minute segments. So what Ashley Banfield actually thought about what Dog said there, whether Ashley Banfield's actually aware of what has been said on Dog the Bounty Hunter's social media, I don't know. Vigilante justice, yeah. So if I was Katie, I would be very, very scared right now. Because you have these unhinged people. Seth is driven by hatred towards Katie because she left him years ago. This has brought up all of this this hidden hatred, which is really a what kind of love, because he's obsessed. Tony Mathis, there's something deeply disturbing about him, in my opinion. And then we've got this celebrity Dog the Bounty Hunter that the media will jump all over and this crazy private intelligence group that uses barbiturates to extract confessions out of people. I'd like to see where they've worked in the past. I'd like to see, their resume, who they've actually worked for, who they've actually extracted confessions from in the past, what cases they've worked on. It's utterly bizarre and incredibly illegal. All of these people need to be investigated. I hope very much that SF Investigates reporting them. If we go back a post, here he says, so that's the post I've just read. State and federal law enforcement is now aware of this. However, I still encourage everyone to report this if it's something they find to be reckless and dangerous. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. Their plan includes administering dangerous psychoactive compounds, ethanol, so alcohol. That is a anti-nausea medication, but it's like makes you like loose lips and whatever. These are benzos. That's Rohypnol, fluorintrazepam, and so sodium thiopental and amobarbitol are very, very strong barbiturates used in operating rooms as part of a general anesthesia protocol. Very, very dangerous. There's a reason why medics who specialize in anesthesia are incredibly highly trained, why they have a team of anesthesiologists there when an operation takes place. This is not just some general practitioner who administers general anesthetic. This is done under very strict, very careful protocols, because give a patient too much, then you send them into an eternal sleep. You send them to sleep forever. So how is this group getting their hands on this kind of, heavy artillery of the drug world? How are they getting their hands on that? Who's administering it? And are they seriously going to pose a threat? Is this just talk? Is this just hot air? Is this just part of the con that they're going to say all this? But they don't actually do it. They don't actually have these drugs. It's worth a federal investigation. I think the feds need to be looking into this very, very closely. Very, very closely. Because if there's any hint that they're actually going to do this, I mean, just the threat of it is enough. If I was Katie, I would listen to Dog the Bounty Hunter there and Ashley Banfield and say, he means me. There's nobody else he possibly can mean. It's a domestic squabble. There's no one else it can mean, because the only people that have custody of Sebastian are Katie and Seth. Seth's sitting there, like a nodding dog, like a willful idiot, agreeing with all of this. And then you've got Katie, the subject, the suspect in this group's eyes. How threatening must that feel? How threatening must that feel? I don't know. If this is just a con, if this is just part of the con to get, to get money, to get people following, to get, I don't know what. It's the ultimate revenge. Yes. Yes. The ultimate revenge. She must be. She must be. Listen, I don't have fear. I don't have fear. I don't. But if I was Katie if I was Katie, I would feel very, very nervous right now that you're going to get these crazy people turning up, are going to hold her against her will and inject these drugs into her to try to get her to talk, to tell the truth. How easy would that be for this lynch mob to descend on Stafford Court in the middle of the night to try to extract a confession from her? How easy would that be done? Very easily, because there's so many crazy people out there on the internet who believe that she is guilty. So I hope she needs to get a restraining order or something. I hope that she has a lawyer. I hope that she's taking every precaution she can. I hope that law enforcement are very aware of this. You know, from Katie's perspective, I hope they're investigating this. Katie is a victim. Katie is a victim of all of this. And if it's not true, if what has been written on Dog the Bounty Hunter's Facebook group that supposedly comes from Tony Mathis, if that's not true, Tony Mathis needs to come out and speak up and say, that was not really me. It's abhorrent. There's no way that I would do this. Seth is not involved in any of this. Dog the Bounty Hunter has a theory, but he's not going to act on it. He's not literally going to hunt people down. It's metaphorical, just for, you know, a TV show. It's not real. That's what I would expect to see if this group aren't really intending on this kind of behavior. That's what I would expect to see. Yeah. Interview as an unveiled threat. Yeah. Yeah. Because Tony Mathis is sat right there. Seth Rogers is sat right there. But I would expect, if what has been written on Dog the Bounty Hunter's Facebook group is a lie, is a hoax, is not really Tony Mathis, I would expect them certainly within the next few hours, I would think, to come out and say, listen, this was not us. What Dog the Bounty Hunter said on News Nation about hunting people down, about, you know, going right up to the, you know, to the fracture point of the law is just for TV. It shouldn't be taken literally. I would expect them to say things like that to at least put Katie's mind at rest, that they're not really going to, you know, capture her in the middle of the night and try to extract a confession from her by injecting her with very powerful barbiturate drugs. That's what I would be expecting to happen. So I hope that I'll be able to report that later if this indeed isn't true. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there because I'm going to be back later to talk about Suitcase Sarah Boone. I'll put the scheduler up later on. It's probably going to be about 7:30 my time, let's just say. It'll be quite a bit cooler then because I'm starting to swelter. Here. It's too hot for me. So, yeah, I'll be back later. So we're going to go through the whole case. We're going to go through the body cam. We're going to go through all of it, the interrogation, and we're going to bring it right up to date ahead of the trial that starts on October the 7th, I believe. So it's a little warmer upper for the trial because I can't wait for that. Can't wait. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining me. Thanks, mods, as always. Thanks to those that donate. Welcome to the new members. And enjoy the rest of your day. And hopefully you'll join me later for Suitcase Sarah Boone. Bye, guys.